Hey everybody, this is Worldwide GojiKai, and I know this is kind of a surprise. It's not really episode 2. This is more of a rant. Um, so it turns out that over the years, over the decades, as anime fans, we've been plagued by very bad live action adaptations of our favorite anime or manga. The worst offenders that I can think of right offhand is in the early 90s, there was a really bad live action version made of Fist of the North Star. And it was horribly whitewashed. I mean, there was a white actor playing Kenshiro. And there was they for some reason they cast Downtown Julie Brown, who at the time was popular as a VJ on MTV. Hey, remember when they had music? Um, and then the kid who played Rufio from that really shitty Hook movie played the kid from Hokuto no Ken, Bat. He played Bat, and it was just mind-bendingly horrible. There was that one, and then there was the Guyver, Bio Boosted Armor Guyver series of live action films, which thankfully they only made two that I know of. And those were also horribly whitewashed. Um, and the only way they could get people to come in to see the film, I don't think it was in theaters that long, and it was released to video pretty soon after it had its run in theaters. Was the only saving thing on the cast. They billed Mark Hamill and Jimmy Walker, who's a comedian who played J.J. Evans in the 1970s on the TV series Good Times. He was popular for going dynamite. So anyway, those movies were definitely not dynamite. They were embarrassing. It's always been my opinion regarding anime that the more complex a series is, and I'm not just talking about in terms of plot or terms of character development. I'm talking about also about like mecha or vehicles, things like that, or even buildings. Anime can 9 times out of 10 convey the emotion and convey exactly what the director wants for the film. Live action is very, very limited in its scope in this case. And a lot of these studios don't realize that fact, okay? Another thing, studios don't care. Studios do not care about the fans. Even though they rely on anime fans to go and see these horrible pieces of shit. And that's all they care about. They care about your money. They don't care about what you want to see. They don't care about what you, the fans, feel is important to the story. And that's an excuse they use. They use this excuse of, well, we're making this into a live action adaptation that can be understood easier by Western audiences, which is total and utter bullshit. Okay? They just want your money. That's all they care about. And they don't understand it. That's why they're writing these horrible scripts. Because early in the whole thing of them starting up this making anime into live action, a lot of it had to do with when the writers, if they actually sat down to watch the anime, it was not translated in any way. So they had to watch it blind without knowing any Japanese, without, having any translators there. And they had to kind of put the puzzle together just by what was going on the screen. And for some reason or another, I really could not say for sure why this is. For some reason or another, studios also put these writers under pressure to do this. It's because the studio execs don't know and they don't care. So I see a lot of stuff where people blame the director before they blame the writers, before they blame the executives. And to be fair, a lot of these directors are really good directors normally. If it's not something specialized, like an adaptation of anime into live action, then, they've had some really good films. The guy that they've got tapped to do this latest foray into live action anime, which I'll get to in a second, he directed Kong Skull Island. The guy's name is Jordan Vogt Roberts. And apparently Legendary is doing a live action Gundam series with Netflix. Now, that could be good or that could be bad, but live action Gundam has actually been done before, and it was back in 1991. Sunrise and a Canadian production company did a live action movie of Gundam called G Savior. And it was horrible. I mean, really horrible. So horrible that even Sunrise, to this day looks at it and says, that's not canon. That never happened. That's how bad this is. That's how bad G Savior is. It really has no connection to what had gone on before. And the computer graphics, the CG, and I think they used CG. It was new technology at the time. Everybody was starting to use it, and it was gaining in popularity. So never mind that the mechs did not look right. They didn't move naturally like they would in real life. It was just horrible. And every time now I hear, oh, there's going to be a live action version of this or this, my spidey senses start tingling, people. I've seen so many bad adaptations to live action. Actually, a couple of them were acceptable. And I'll get into those in a minute, but I'm focusing right now on the bad ones. This could be bad. Not just bad for Gundam as a franchise, but just the overall reputation of Gundam. Especially if they decide to do their series, to base their series on the mainstream Toonami version of Gundam, which is Wing, Victory, Unicorn Gundam, that crap that has nothing to do with how Gundam started. Now, if they focus on Universal Century Gundam, which would be like 0079, 0080, 0083, around like the time of Shah's counterattack, that would be acceptable. Zeta or Double Zeta, kind of on Double Zeta, but anything past that is where, in my opinion, Gundam went off the rails into Crazy Town. And you want the robot, you want the mecha to be realistically powerful. You don't want them to be these overpowered monstrosities like there are on Toonami. You want them to be, kind of realistic. You want them to be like Macross or Battletech. With Battletech, you've got these mechs are huge. They're bulky. They've got a lot of weight behind them. Even the light mechs, the recon mechs, even though that they've got hardly any armor in some cases, they've got almost no weaponry to speak of, but still they're huge. They're giant two-legged tanks basically. They are the armored divisions of the future in that game. But yeah, and that's the way Gundam originally started. The Zaku and the RX-78, those were not infallible. Those were not like immortal machines. It helped to be a new type, but being a new type was kind of rare. And it was treated as such, I think the only new types in the original series were Sha and Lala and Amuro, even though Amuro did not really want much to do with war, and had that whole rivalry thing going on between the two. Now, this also brings to mind what I said earlier about how studios have this excuse of making things more easy to understand for Western audiences. That in itself is total bullshit. Unless it's like a really complex series that has cultural references that we would not really get over here too easily. But again, the core audience of these live action films will be anime fans. People who have seen this stuff and have taken the time to go out of their way and research these cultural idiosyncrasies. Studios don't know this and they don't care. I'll give you an example of one of the better, it's still not the best, but it's one of the better ones. Alita. Alita was as close to a really good adaptation of Gundam. Not Gundam, Gundam, Gunnm, which was changed to Battle Angel Alita when it came over here in manga form and then anime. James Cameron had to fight tooth and nail to keep that as close to the source material as he could. To keep the studios from wrecking that. Now, it's debatable how much that happened with Ghost in the Shell. It's acceptable on its own, I guess, but Ghost in the Shell seemed more to me like they were trying to condense the first two movies into one. Because it had elements of the first anime movie, and then it had elements of Ghost in the Shell 2, Innocence. And anybody that's seen Ghost in the Shell 2, Innocence, knows that it's a total mindfuck. So that did not really help it. Plus the over neon thing ruined the whole dark cyberpunk aesthetic that Ghost in the Shell originally had for me. Ghost in the Shell, for me, when I saw the anime, I was like, oh yeah, this is cool, man. This is Blade Runner, but with some oomph to it, just the dark city streets, steam coming up out of the gratings and everything on the road, and future cars, and all that kind of thing, and guns, lots of really cool futuristic guns. All right, now what we saw in the live action movie, it was too brightly colored for one thing. It wasn't as dark as the original material. And they whitewashed too much. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can make whatever argument you want for Scarlett Johansson portraying Motoko Kusanagi. But I'm sorry, there are tons of Asian actresses out there who would have fit that role a lot better. Pardon me. And, I think they tried to stick as close as they could to it. But when you jam such a huge story into a compressed space like they did with Ghost in the Shell, yeah, it's not gonna fly. It's with a lot of fans, it just didn't fly. I found it kind of tolerable, but then there were some aspects of the film that were more technical aspects that it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Like going down, when they were driving on that highway and then you see all these bright neon colors and then all these hologram signs. Those weren't in the anime. I was sitting there going, what the hell am I watching? This is not Ghost in the Shell. So, it pisses me off anymore when American studios decide, hey, we're going to do a live action version of this. And I look at them and I say, hey, remember Dragon Ball Evolution? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that one was a real success, wasn't it? And then I'll laugh in their face and turn around and I'll just go watch my anime. So, well, that's all I have for this rant. Thanks for listening. Just wanted to get that off my chest. Say no to live action anime, especially if it comes from American studios. I don't care who makes it. Yes, Legendary is doing great with Godzilla. They know Godzilla. Okay? But take this as a fact. No American movie studio, no matter who it is, has a grip on anime. And I will see you guys in episode 2.